Hi, I'm Femi OK. You're in the stream. Today, why are Puerto Ricans calling on Governor Ricardo Rossello to resign?
I'm Malika Bilal. Hundreds of thousands of residents have taken to the streets in a historic wave of protests. We'll speak with those who are demanding change. Send your thoughts via Twitter and YouTube.
Hi, I am Chef Jose Andres, and you are in the stream.
This story has not only been big on the streets of Puerto Rico, but has also been trending online. Malika, what are people saying?
Ricky renuncia, or resign Ricky. It's become a rallying cry on social media, with many using that hashtag to share photos, videos, and an overall frustration with the U.S. territory's governor. The conversation came after Puerto Rico's Center for Investigative Journalism published a group chat featuring Rossello and other government officials. They made misogynistic and homophobic remarks about opposition leaders, journalists, and other public figures. The scandal, dubbed Ricky Leaks, ignited days of protests, with many flooding the streets near the governor's residence, calling on him to step down. But Rossello has refused to resign, despite mounting public pressure. On Sunday, he announced via Facebook Live that he will remain in office but not seek a second term. He reinforced that position during a Fox News interview on Monday.
My effort and my commitment is to follow through on some of the efforts that I've established for the people of Puerto Rico. That includes establishing, again, a plan that I've already circulated with the members within the White House so that we can battle this corruption.
Well, his continued refusal to resign has fueled the biggest protests to hit the island in years. Hundreds of thousands of people blocked one of San Juan's major highways. Among them, pop star Ricky Martin, a subject of the homophobic remarks. Here's what he had to say.
We're tired of the cynicism. They put down women. They put down the LGBT community, people with disabilities, corruption. It is insane. We are tired. We can't take it anymore.
Clearly a lot of emotions on the streets, and we'll talk about that in today's show. Femi?
Thank you very much, Malika. So let's get this conversation started with Yarima Bonilla, is a political anthropologist. She joins us from New York.
I'm actually in San Juan.
Oh, in San Juan. Thank you very much for updating us. Even better, Luna Cienfuegos is an artist and LGBTQ activist. She is in Loiza, Puerto Rico. And Zoila Boy is a senator with the New Progressive Party, and that's the same party as Governor Rossello. She joins us from the capital, San Juan. Hello, everybody. It's good to have you here with us. Darima, you asked the senator such a great question. Just before we got on the air, I said, hold it. You are a political anthropologist, but today you are a journalist. What was that question? It's a question that so many of us are curious about. Go ahead, Darima. You start our conversation.
I just asked, what time is the governor gonna step down? Does she have any inside information for us on that?
Senator.
Well, yes, of course. First of all, thank you. I'm so honored to be part of this. And thank you, Malika and Femi, for this opportunity, and to the deponents here for this activity. Thank you for the opportunity. And I have to answer that. No, I do not have any inside information, but I do have to say that for weeks now, I've been asking the Governor Rossello, who until 2 days ago, he was the president of the political party that I belong to. I have asked him to resign. And as you were mentioning at the beginning, what's happening in Puerto Rico, I would say that not only because of the leak of the chat, where, as Ricky Martin was saying, many people were offended, people that are overweight, members of the LGBT community, women, people that died during Hurricane Maria, their families, they're all offended, and I am offended. But I would have to say that what we're seeing today, it's not only the result of the leak of that chat, but also people are tired of corruption. Unfortunately, here in Puerto Rico, it is not the first time that we see members of the executive branch or even the legislative branch being accused or criminal charges being brought against them for corruption. So I think that what we're seeing today, it's a mixture of the chat, but also corruption, and people at last, and I am very happy for this, people at last are raising their voice and saying, enough, let's change the way we do things in Puerto Rico.
Luna, you're one of those people who've been raising their voices. You've been out on the streets protesting. Tell us about the atmosphere that is in Puerto Rico right now from a protester's perspective.
At the current time, there is a lot of unrest and a lot of, I'm going to echo a lot of what she just said, is that people are very fed up. People are very upset. People want for Ricky to resign, but they also want this government to be held accountable for its incompetence, for its negligence, right? People have been suffering before the hurricane. They suffered through the hurricane, and now they're suffering post-hurricane. This is a huge culmination of people being unheard, of not listened to, and Ricky in particular being such a sort of figure that's basically taking all of the brunt of this, being kind of called out finally. People are very, very tired. People are out here celebrating, of course. People are coming together in community, and people are really working towards actually mobilizing together. That's really important. That's a big deal for Puerto Rico to do this. You haven't seen this happen in a very, very long time. And to see these people come together, you have people, that community people, you have people who brought in, yes, at Monday Amparo Nacional, you had people who brought food for people. You had kids. I mean, you had really young people bringing 15,000 water bottles for people. Things that the government was unable to do post-hurricane. Things that community built together. Like Puerto Rico has constructed itself because of the poor people here, because of people fending for themselves. And then finally they came together because of, you saw this chat, but that chat was real life too, It was not just this misogynist and disgusting dehumanization of people. That was what they were doing to people here. That's what they were acting upon. It wasn't just words. It was just hearing the ridicule of knowing that these people did not care enough about Puerto Ricans, that they didn't care enough.
And Luna, what is so interesting is that, of course, you're not alone there. I see you trying to get in there, Zoe, but I want to bring this in our community who's watching, and I'll give this to you. So a couple of people that are really elaborating on what you heard Luna say. So this is Liza on Twitter. She says, Ricky Leaks, as they're called, crystallized eons of Puerto Rico's political corruption because it was him and his cronies mocking the dead. It was a misogynistic bile heaped at political opponents, feminists, even beauty queens. It was the squandering of Maria donations, and that's Hurricane Maria, on gifts and travels. And she goes on, but one other person sent us a video comment, and in it she speaks about why this is different and unlike anything else. Picking up on that point that you made, Luna, this is Alexandra Marie Figuero Miranda. She's a campaigner at Amnesty International Puerto Rico, and here's what she told the stream.
What makes the protests here in Puerto Rico so unique is the fact that they are completely organic. They are led by everyday people, not any particular organization or institution. People are literally taking to social media, planning an action, and thousands are showing up. The leaking of the chats was not itself the reason, more so the catalyst. So people have just been organizing, building community, and really kind of creating a different country, a country that is awake and ready.
So Zoe, can you pick up on what she's saying there? Have you seen anything like this?
I have to tell you that no. It's we have had other demonstrations, big, but not as big as this one. But I wanted to, if I may, I wanted to tell Luna that this is my very first term as an elected official. And I have to say that from the very beginning that I started back in January 2018, I have felt that people in Puerto Rico need to get more involved in what we do. I'm a senator, and what we discuss every day there will impact Puerto Rico. And for me, too many times we decide and do things there, and you don't hear people raising their voice in favor or against it. So I would ask Luna and everybody who's involved in this kind of manifestations or demonstrations that this cannot stop. We need Puerto Ricans to keep on top of us and watch what we're doing, criticize, or raise your voice in favor of what you think it's the right thing for Puerto Rico. And another thing that I would ask would be, I'm a senator and I've been involved in politics for many years. And one thing that I do, it makes me sad to hear it, and I don't accept it, is that many times some people say, oh, you know what? All politicians are corrupted. All of them are bad. All of them are taking advantage of their positions. And I have to say that generalization is as bad as when you say, oh, women are the same, or all members of the LGBT community are the same. They're not. Many of us are sitting in a political position because we do want to make a difference.
Senator, take a pause, because I know that Luna is dying to have that conversation with you. Luna, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to interrupt. Okay, yes, you are a new political leader, right? And in whatever term you want to call that, you're asking people to hold in more space, to talk and be more outspoken. The problem is when they are outspoken, when has Ricky actually responded? I talked about heavily that Colecta Feminista last year was talking about demands, about the instability of the government, had talked about gender violence, women dying, and Ricky was quiet. So if you're asking for the people in general to have more voices and to have more say, the government the officials have to be accountable for the things that they have done. And if you do not like to hear that we're saying, oh, the government is corrupt, it's because of all these pieces. If you're offended that you are not yourself corrupt, then you need to also know that if these people around you that are your colleagues, that are in office with you, if they're corrupt, you are complicit if you are not holding them accountable. And if we are blaming the government as a whole, it's because you function as a whole. And because you are the powers at be for the Puerto Rican people. So when we say this person are doing these things, it's because you are. And even if it's not an individual problem, it's a systemic problem. There is an issue with negligence by the Puerto Rican government. It is not just about Ricky Rosselló. We are calling him out, and we're putting him on that, and people are making it seem like it's just Ricky on all the headlines. But it never started with Ricky, and it's not going to end with Ricky. So if you want the people to be more involved, you need to give space to people to be involved, and you need to be centering people.
If I can, I feel so bad interrupting Luna, because I think everything you're saying is so important. But I would love it if the senator would speak not just about herself as an individual politician, but also her role in a political party, because she has taken, important positions, asking, herself as an individual for Ricky to step down, but she has not really made claims on the party, and the party has moved more towards impeachment, which is not what the people in the streets wanted. They don't want an impeachment process that we don't know what it might end up in. It might end up in him being not.
Jarima, if I may, impeachment for me seems so hypothetical that it's not a useful conversation to have today at this moment, because I would suggest that the governor of Puerto Rico will not still be in his job by the weekend. I would suggest that.
We hope, but until yesterday,
possibly.
The party was not moving for him to step down. Until yesterday, her political party was asking for the people to calm down, to go home, and let them do their work and move towards impeachment. And I want to know not just how individual politicians are going to change, but how the political parties are going to change, because what people want here also is a change in the party system overall.
Yes, let me interject there. Let me tell you one thing. As I bet that you are members of groups, like, for example, you, Luna, belong to this group that fight every day for women's rights, and I applaud you. But you know that when you belong to a group, you cannot be responsible for what all the members in the group within the group do. So what I have to say to you is, I know many people raise their voice, and some people within government don't listen to them, or actually don't want to listen to them. But me as a senator, and the history is right there, every time I have evaluated a bill before it becomes a law in Puerto Rico. I have opened the doors so I can hear everybody who has something to say about the subject. I have opened the doors for that, and that I can do, but I cannot force anybody else to do it. And about
So have you considered stepping down from your party? Because let me
finish.
So ladies, I'm not going to make this a personal grilling of Senator Zoe Laboy, because the issue in Puerto Rico is much bigger than one individual senator's attention to her constituents. Moving on, Malika.
So because this is beyond just the governor, I wanted to bring up this. This is from Julio on Twitter, who says demands go beyond even the resignation. However, whoever is next needs to, 1, audit the debt, 2, protect services, 3, protect pensions, and 4, declare a state of emergency on gender violence. So that's just among some of the demands that people have, but I want to share with you even a few more. This via a video comment we got from Manuel Rodriguez Banch. He's a labor and social justice advocate, and here are his demands.
The demand for the resignation of Ricardo Rosselló was just a sparkle that ignited what has been regarded by many as a revolution. We're now demanding the repeal of Promesa, a law enacted by Congress by which a fiscal control board was appointed to push forward austerity measures to the peril of our people and to benefit Wall Street. We need the cancellation of the debt, and we also need a true process of self-determination to put an end to this illegal colonial regime.
So Zoe, I'll give that to you because you saw those lists of things that people are now asking for. How realistic are they, and do they dilute the focus here?
First of all, let me say about repealing Promesa. I'm against the board, but the truth is that we are a colony of the United States. That's why, among other reasons, I am a pro-statehood, because I believe in equality, and I want to be, as a U.S. citizen that I am, but I want to have the very same responsibilities and obligations. So I do believe that we need to end this colonial status, and I fight for that. And some other people might have another answer to ending the colonial status, but in that I agree with what they're asking. But the truth is that we would have to go to Congress and lobby as much as we could to get that resolved, because we, unfortunately, don't have any senators or representatives or congressmen or women there with voting rights.
So I guess it seems like an appropriate time to bring in President Trump and what he's been saying about Puerto Rico. So this was the president on Monday. Have a listen.
He's a terrible governor. I think you have an even worse mayor of San Juan. She's horrible. I think she's horrible. I watched her. My people did nothing but complain about her when we helped them with their hurricane problem. The mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, is a horror show. She's incompetent, grossly incompetent. At the same time, the governor's not good. The Congress of the United States handed him $92 billion. And that $92 billion is in the hands of incompetent people and very corrupt people. And I think the government of the United States, they have to be careful. I'm the best thing that ever happened to Puerto Rico, because we did a great job in Puerto Rico.
I wish you could see Zoe's eye rolling all the way through that. You didn't see it. She may reenact it for you in just a moment. But Jarima, this is what you do. You're a political anthropologist. You look at Puerto Rico. So you hear President Trump saying that. So when we look at next steps, what could possibly happen from this situation? Where do you want to take us?
I have a couple of things. First, I think that in a weird way, Trump might be a good thing that happened to Puerto Rico, in the sense that he cast a media spotlight on us after Hurricane Maria. I have no doubt that if he had not been in power, and if so many people were not caught up in trying to find his Katrina, we would not have had so much attention, and so many people in the United States would not have discovered that, you know, Puerto Ricans were U.S. citizens, that Puerto Ricans were under colonial rule, that there was this thing called the Jones Act. So when, in a weird way, he did create a kind of moment in which different political alternatives can be discussed. However, one thing I've noticed is, and from the protesters, is that they say very clearly that part of why they were able to achieve the numbers that they did was because this was not politics as usual in Puerto Rico. This was not about the usual campaigns for the political parties as they exist. None of the political parties called for this movement or supported this movement. And even the ones that, I mean, I shouldn't say the mainstream political parties didn't support this movement. And even the new emerging political groups, they didn't make this about themselves. And the young people that I've talked to involved in the movement, they all tell me that they want something else. They want independent candidates. They want a rethinking of how politics is going to play out in Puerto Rico. And I certainly didn't want to put the senator on the spot, because it was very generous of her to come and speak in a moment when politicians in Puerto Rico are very much, you know, all on the hot seat, no matter which seat they're sitting on. But I just wonder how she thinks her party and political parties in general are going to be able to reinvent themselves and move past this and become what the people here want, which is not the political parties that have existed to date, and not just because of their corruption.
Actually, Yarimat, I think that is a very good question. I have to tell you that every time that I have been able to talk to the press, I say that it would be so sad, and not only sad, but bad for Puerto Rico if all what we're going through ends up in, okay, once the governor, Ricardo Rosselló, resigns, that's all, and everybody goes home. I think that Puerto Ricans, and to include myself, we need to keep on working, because Puerto Rico urgently needs a reform of the political parties and also government. And I have to be sincere with you and everybody who's watching this. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you that. For example, you were asking about the impeachment process. I don't think this is this has to do with a political party. It has to do with the duties that we, representatives and senators, have for our island. And I have to tell you that when the president of the Speaker of the House, I should say, Johnny Mendez, said that he was going to have these 3 legal specialists from different political parties evaluate the chat to see if there's any reason to present present charges against the governor, I was very happy, because that was the start of what I think should happen. But I have to say, too, as a senator, I have to wait until the House of Representatives decides what they're going to do today.
And Zoe, that is a perfect place for me to insert a community comment, because what happens next is exactly what people are talking about. So on YouTube, one person says, Rosselló's replacement is also corrupt. The parties continue to put forward dirty politicians. Not all are corrupt, but it means nothing that there's no accountability for people like Rosselló. So I'll give this one to you, Luna. Just in the closing minute of the show here, what do you want to happen next?
Okay, I just want to reiterate some of the conversation that just happened.
We only have a minute. So actually,
okay, sure.
Even better use of that time. What do you want to happen next?
I think that we need to set tones for demands, that there needs to be a state of emergency against gender violence. It needs to be addressed because Ricardo Rosselló has already ignored it. There needs to be an audit of the public debt of Puerto Rico. There needs to be another demand is that anybody who was corrupt and abused needs to be prosecuted by the courts. They need to be held accountable publicly, and they need to stop hiding. I think that there needs to be a commitment to both protecting women, Black people, the undocumented Dominicans that are in Puerto Rico, the LGBTQ community.
Luna,
I think
you have given the senator quite a to-do list. That is an impressive list. Luna and Zoe and Jarima, thank you so much for helping us see what is happening in Puerto Rico right now. That's all the time we have. Malika and I will see you next time, always online. Thanks for watching.